Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to work on two of my trees. It is springtime right now and it's the perfect time to simply work a bit on the form of those two trees. As you can already see here, one of them is my Portulacaria Afra bonsai. I've had this tree for over 3 years now. I did some smaller pruning work on it. I repotted it right away when I got it because it actually fell in the store, it seemed, and was a bit loose inside the pot, so I had to emergency repot it. Took very well to that, has been growing very strong since then. But as I mentioned, I basically only did some tip pruning on this so far. I mean, I took out one branch here all the way in the beginning because it also was a bit damaged. Other than that, I haven't really worked on a final form of this tree. And often, of course, when you get some commercial trees like this, they already come in some sort of a preset form that is already quite agreeable to most people. However, of course, this also means it doesn't give you that much opportunity to work on it if you don't look for that opportunity. And that's what I'm going to do today. I will simply give you a closer look on this tree and see how we maybe in the future can improve this by already taking the first initial steps today. And when we look around the tree, I'm quite happy with this lower branch here. It does create a nice padding already. Here we simply will continue with tip pruning. Of course, right now it's still too early. You can see new growth coming in right now at the moment, but not enough yet to really already go into tip pruning here. What we will do is if there's like 2 to 3 leaf pairs, we will take it back to 1, should then ramify, so branch out, and this way we create a nice dense pad. You can already see it, especially here from this side, it is really starting to become very dense, which is of course what we're trying and aiming for. What we rather can look at is the apex here, and you can see basically we have this smaller branch, a potential new branch developing on the other side here, which could be a back branch in the future. And then we already have the apex, and the apex is very crowded. It's very unstructured, I would say, and it is not really having any form. So we have this lower branch here that is melting into the upper branch. Then almost at the exact same height, we do have this little back branch here that could be in the future, of course, as the tree grows, another side branch with a nice pad. And then we have what I would say like the upper half of this apex here, which is a bit bare actually, especially if we look at it from this side. You can see it is not as full as I would like to have it. And I think it's because we have so many different growth points on this tree that there is not really one direct leader. I mean, this one starts to sort of now take over as a leader, but you can see there's many growth points that go in the similar direction. Maybe even this one here, for example. So this one could be a potential leader here in the future. So how are we going to do this? There is many different ways and different directions we could take this tree. As I said, we could literally go with this as a new leader and take out the complete apex here. Also probably this side branch and maybe even this side branch then, because of course it wouldn't really fit to the overall design of more a slanting style tree that then focuses most of its growth up here. It would be something very drastic, but we could take this tree in this direction for a shade, maybe a bit uncommon, but it could look interesting. We have this little side branch down here that we could leave on as a little counterweight maybe. That is one direction we can go. We can also stay with this already existing S shape or informal upright shape of the tree and simply take out 1 or 2 of those branches up here. I can see here those branches have become quite laggy, so we could take back those branches to simply get more dense foliage growing here again. Or, as we said before, by turning the tree around again, we take out this little side branch or potential side branch down here, which anyway comes from an inner band of this S shape. In this way, anyway, we would correct definitely a style problem if we take that out. And I think as it doesn't really hinder us in any of the decisions we will take, this is the first step we will do. We will take out this branch here. Now, Portulacaria Afra is quite malleable, so it's quite easy to cut through the wood here. So I would take this little side branch first and then get a closer look at where best to get in here. Normally, as Portulacaria Afra is prone to die back a little bit, I always would leave a small stump on the tree first. When this one dies back, of course, we can take it out later, but this way we reduce the risk of infection spreading to the main trunk if we cut too close to it. So I would simply go in here and give this a nice cut. Let's see if the scissors are enough. Yes, they are. And of course, this already would make a perfect cutting for a future tree. Of course, if we want to propagate that, the best way to propagate Portulacaria Afra is to let this callus over for 1 day, then simply stick it in some soil, water once in a while, and it will develop roots. I think I've never had a Portulacaria Afra propagation that didn't develop roots, especially now in spring. It is almost impossible not to root those trees. So we have taken out this part here, and it definitely already opened up the tree. I do think I'm happier already with the style of this tree, because now we can really see here this nice pad. It is separated from all the other growth up here. I would still see here we have growth that actually is growing downwards. That of course is also something we try to avoid in bonsai, so we take that out as well. Again, make this difference between the pads more pronounced. And then we also have on this side, where we already took out another branch beforehand, have new growth coming from here. As it is too close to an already very well established branch, I would also take this out, because why should the tree invest energy in here if we anyway plan something else for it? So let's give it another look. I do really enjoy that it already looks definitely cleaner. It looks, again, better proportioned, I would say also. The question I still have is this one here. Do we give it a try to grow this one in the future? Because of course this would be the back. So from the back, this could provide a nice back branch in the future, but do we need it really? Because from this side anyway, we have this branch here that does create a nice little side branch. So I think we don't need it. But it very much depends in which direction we can take this tree and what really is the front and the back. So this is a decision that we do have to take sooner or later. But if we look at it from straight ahead, I'm not sure this is the best front, or if it would be somewhere else. Maybe we have to reposition this tree the next time we repot it, maybe go a bit more in this direction, for example, to really have it as a more pronounced side branch. It is probably somewhere in the middle here, or from this side, which also looks definitely better. And then we again have to ask ourselves, do we need then this branch growing in a direction that we don't really want it to grow? So I would say no, and before we create an unsightly bump here, we take it out. Again, of course, also a size like this, great propagation project, you can definitely try to propagate that. So we have already cleaned up this tree a lot. Now the big decision is still, with which design do we go? I think for now I'm actually quite happy with this S shape informal style bonsai, because now I can see I can work on this pad in the future a lot, create more dense foliage still here, simply by letting it grow, pruning back again. Same goes here with the apex, develop this in a potential future side branch, let the tree grow a bit more here and develop new branching. We might even take out this one sooner or later. What we will definitely do right now is reduce the length of this. I will take out here actually all the foliage, only leave it on this side branch. If it comes back, it comes back. If not, not. It was anyway growing a bit downwards, so not the best direction anyway. Normally they do backbud, so we will probably see new growth coming from these areas. And we reduce simply the size of this way. But I would say for the first tree, already a good improvement and a good setup for spring. So let us move on to the next tree. So this next tree is one of my problem trees. It is a Chinese privet, and as you can see, it is in a very weird state right now. It has this big sucker, actually, or started as a sucker growing, that I kept on because I see it basically as insurance at this point, because this tree keeps dying back more and more. Before this actually already started to grow that long. Another branch here in winter died back. I was waiting now for spring to see if it comes back. You can see a lot of foliage developing here. No foliage again developing on this one. So we do need to again correct this, take out this branching here and decide what we'll do with this tree in the future. So I would say first giving you a look on this tree. I mean, there's not much to see. You can see here growth is not developing again, but still a lot of dieback also happened here. In general, not the healthiest tree. I have been struggling with this tree since I got it actually, so it is definitely a tree that gives me some worries. Every time I look at it, there's something else not really working the direction that I want it to work. But for now, I would say important thing is to take out the dead branch here. For that, I would take my concave cutter. We go as close as possible here and give this a good pinch and see. The privet is a very hard tree, so we probably need multiple tries and maybe even a saw to get this out. And there it goes. So here we have it. Very, very hard wood, so always difficult to really take this out. I will still clean this a little bit because of course now we have a very unsightly wound here. I just want to make it a bit less pronounced by going in, taking part of it still out here, leaving just a tiny stump here that can callus over. As it is hardwood, normally it doesn't really die back that much, but we'll keep an eye on it. So already now, if we think this part away, there's not much left of this tree. When I bought it, it was a nice bushy tree, looking like a nice little broom-style bonsai. Not much left at this point from that tree. So here we have some finer branching that we should also take a look at. Because there is also certain tips that have unfortunately died back in winter. And this tree always very much struggles in winter. I now pull it already back enough from a window so it doesn't really stand in a cold draft, but nevertheless, again, part of it dies in winter all the time. And you can still see some of this older foliage that dies back then while new foliage comes in. It is always a change on this tree. So what potential do we have for this tree in the future? You can see this side branch, or basically side plant at this point, that I do want to keep on because it is the healthiest growth there is on this tree. A lot of the energy is being put in it, of course, because we do let it grow. But I see it really as an insurance, and it is growing thicker and thicker, and I want to keep this on the tree as much as possible because there's not much material left from the base tree that we can really work with. So does it make sense to keep all of this foliage up here, hope that something will develop new, or do we take this even more drastically back, take out all of this very unsightly branching, no structure, no form, and basically start over with this tree, leaving this one on, let it grow further, but leave this stump, as it is basically a stump now, maybe take it back to those two small leaf pairs, two little branches that might develop here in the future, and take out all the rest. And I think, as there's not much to lose with this tree, this is probably the best way in which we can go with this tree. So I would again switch to my concave cutter, go in here, and take out this branching. So this leaves us with two little leaf pairs here that the future of this tree is resting on now. We took out this branch. I mean, there's not much lost with it, to be honest. You can see even the health of this foliage, not the best, how yellow it is in comparison to the other foliage here. So we have this tiny little tree now here. And the question is, how do we fare with this one? I can see that it's starting to get woody, really from the base here already. So this could be a potential interesting tree if we let it grow. However, I find it a bit too high at the first point where it ramifies. So I would take this back actually a little bit, more to the height of the rest of this tree, and say, if we sooner or later have it as a broom style, I wouldn't go higher than actually here. So we take this out. Now I'm not sure if this would work as a propagation. It is spring right now, so this is probably the best time to try it. I will simply pop it in water and see if we can water propagate that in the future. Let me put it to the side right now. And let's see what it keeps us left with on this tree. It's not much. We again have the little insurance here and the potential rest of this tree with, well, still it is the potential to start new and give this a completely new outlook on its future bonsai journey. But yes, the future for this one is definitely open. Will we in the end go with this little side branch which developed maybe in its own right into a tree, taking out this one completely, then sawing it off, creating more of a slightly clump style looking mixture of a tree? Or does this one maybe hold the future for this tree of potentially new interesting branching going on, going a bit away from a normal broom style and more into an informal S shape that we might develop out of this one? The growth season, of course, will show the way on this tree. I will keep it basically untouched when it comes to pruning, let it grow as wild and free as possible, and then decide in hopefully a couple of months in which road we can take this tree. And of course I will keep you informed on the road we will take with that. So if you have any questions regarding this Chinese Privet or the Portulacaria Afra that we worked on before, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will get to answer them as soon as I see them. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, and if you enjoy my channel, of course, feel free to subscribe to it. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video then. Until then, goodbye.